How is everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another transfer update around Europe, starting off in Germany at Leverkusen, as Romano says that Aston Villa have planned to bid again for Musa Diabi in the next days. Negotiations are still ongoing with Bayern Munich. The opening bid of 35 million euros plus add-ons were turned down by Leverkusen, but talks are still on. Bayer want 60 million euros. Diaby is open to the Premier League football, and Villa have got the green light from the player himself. James Benj from CBS saying Saudi club Al-Nassr are ready to pay 50 million euros for Bayer Leverkusen's winger Musa Diabi, who has already been a subject of the bid of Aston Villa. As just stated, this will be a major coup for Aston Villa if they can get this one over the line.
Especially how he's really developed over the last couple of years. He's really starting to bang in goals regularly in the Bundesliga, albeit they do have a winger right now who was banging goals regularly in the Bundesliga for the same club in Leon Bailey, and it hasn't really turned out fantastically well for him. So maybe that's in the back of their mind in terms of how high they go. I do think Diaby he's a bit of a different player to Bailey. Bailey likes the ball to feet, cutting inside and shooting. Diaby's more of a player who likes to run in behind and get on the end of things. And I think under Unai Emery, that's actually probably a better fit for them. He's a manager who likes to create as much space for the attackers as possible on transitions and counter-attacks, and that would really suit someone like Musa Diaby 100%. So I think he would be a really good signing for Unai Emery, and I think that he's one who's he can play in different positions, he's versatile, and I think he'd be worth the money.
And moving on, let's go over to Barcelona now and talk about Franck Kessié, as Mundo Deportivo are reporting that Juventus are considering signing Franck Kessié from Barcelona to replace Paul Pogba, who could be Saudi Arabia bound. Another potentially big player moving on. It hasn't really happened for Franck Kessié at Barcelona.
Yeah, he's struggled for game time, to be honest. I think Gavi, Pedri, Frenkie de Jong have all really been in the side. Obviously, Busquets is now left, so you could argue maybe there's going to be more opportunity for him next season. But the way Xavi likes to play, I can see him trying to maybe mould Frenkie de Jong to that number 6 position, backed up by Pedri and Gavi, turning into like the next version of Xavi and Iniesta, two Barca boys coming through the ranks and taking those roles. So I think Kessié, if he wants to be a success at Barca, he has to really take on Frenkie de Jong in that position. And I do think potentially he has the capability of doing so, but he might feel like it's a bit like how Yaya Toure felt like he just couldn't get a look in at Barca when Busquets was coming through the door, decided to leave, and it bettered his career. He went on to Man City, became one of the best centre-backs in Europe, and I feel like maybe Kessié needs to do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a strange time at Barcelona for Franck Kessié. Like, ever since he's joined there's just been rumours about him leaving, literally from like the first week or two of him joining, which has been a bit strange. He was one of the top players in Serie A before joining Barcelona, and I think maybe a move back to Serie A or maybe even to the Premier League might do him the world of good, because it's just going stale for him at Barcelona, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see a move happening for him this summer with the way things are going. And also, if Barcelona really are, I mean, we say it every summer, if Barcelona is desperate for money, it'll make sense, but we'll see how it develops with their finances. But I think if I'm Kessié, I think I give it another year potentially, unless a really good opportunity arrives.
Fair enough. Let's move on and let's talk about a deal that is very close to being done now, and that is André Onana of Inter Milan. Romano says that Manchester United's move to sign André Onana is imminent. 50 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Manchester United and Inter are closing on the final details of the deal. All parties expect Onana to become a Manchester United player in the next few hours. The deal is almost there, and there were pictures of Onana having a farewell party or a farewell goodbye at Javier Zanetti's restaurant out in Milan. So this one looks as though it's nearly completed now.
Yeah, it's a fantastic deal. We knew once it was confirmed that De Gea wasn't going to sign that contract and that he's been released, so they're always going to push the bow out even higher for Onana. He's a keeper that Ten Hag knows well. I think he's perfect for how Ten Hag wants to play. I think it's a great deal, and I think they're paying quite a lot of money, but I think Onana's really developed over the last couple of years at Inter Milan into one of the top keepers in Europe, and I think they've got their man. It's a great signing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think look, he's going to be there and he's going to be one of the best keepers in the Premier League. I think he comes in at, and I think Man United are very lucky to get this deal over the line. I thought everyone saw the kind of regression of David De Gea over the last season or the last couple of seasons, and I think a goalkeeper was probably their most priority position that they needed to sign along with a striker this summer, and it looks as though they finally got their man. This is an interesting one. Let's go over to Italy and talk about Leonardo Bonucci of Juventus. Romano says that Juventus want Bonucci out. The message was very clear from the new director to Bonucci during the meeting on Thursday, and Marseille are not interested despite reports, but Bonucci, McKennie, Zakaria and Arthur all out of the project and available for a transfer for Juventus. So a summer of change over at Juventus.
And I think it's needed. They've needed a massive refresh of that squad. Look, Bonucci's 36 years of age now. We knew that, Chiellini left, was it last year or 2 years ago now? They needed a massive refresh of that backline. He doesn't really have that pace anymore to be what he used to be. Obviously, it wasn't even that long ago that they won the Euros, was it? With him and Chiellini at the back. But look, age catches up with every player, and I think this is Bonucci's time. If I was him, I'll try and get that Saudi move if I still can. I don't see him playing. Maybe in he can. I reckon he can still find a club at the top levels, like someone like Thiago Silva did. But I don't think he's going to be playing at the top end of the Premier League. I don't think top end of Italy or Spain. It would have to be a mid-level team at one of these leagues, I think.
Yeah, I think probably for him, like you say, the Saudi is probably the best in terms of him financially and where he's going to go and play competitive football. Maybe it's not as competitive out in Saudi, but he'll definitely be financially stable, let's say, after that, even if he's not already, that's for sure. But let's talk about Fred of Manchester United. Fabrizio Romano says that Galatasaray have approached Manchester United to sign Fred. Opening proposal has already been submitted and rejected by Manchester United. Transfer fee was well below expectations. Fred will leave United this summer as Saudi clubs, Fulham and more Premier League clubs are already working on it. So it looks as though Fred's time at Manchester United could be coming to an end as well.
Yeah, I think Fred's kind of an underrated player, albeit he's not amazing, but I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. I think he'd definitely do a good job at a good Premier League team, in my opinion. But look, Man United, they know if they have serious ambitions of challenging City and Arsenal and Liverpool for a title, I think Fred can be a good squad option, but I think they're looking to upgrade. Look, they got Casemiro, they got Eriksen, they got Bruno, maybe looking to bring in Amrabat as well. So I think they need the money through the door right now, obviously with the uncertainty with their takeover, so they don't know what money's available, so they need to generate from player sales. McTominay apparently is up for sale as well, but I'm not surprised that someone like Fred, you're willing to take the money on him, because as much as he could be a good squad player, you could always upgrade on him.
If he is staying in the Premier League, do you think Fulham is a good option for him, or do you think he should be aiming higher than that?
No, I think Fulham's a good option. I mean, obviously, any Premier League player like him who's playing at Man United, he'll believe he's good enough to play for a top 6 team, but I don't think any of the top 6 teams are going to be going for him. So I do think of Fulham, where he can partner someone like João Palhinha. I think that would be a pretty good midfield. I think it would be a pretty good signing.
Next up, let's talk about Neymar, as Le Parisien are reporting that Chelsea will line up a bid to reunite Neymar and Mauricio Pochettino if the Brazilian decides to leave Paris. Do you see this one being a goer or just paper talk?
Look, with Chelsea, the funds are there, especially given the fact that they've sold a lot of players, albeit I wouldn't say Neymar is a priority right now for them. I think they need to get that midfield right, because they've only got Enzo in midfield right now. But, I mean, Neymar, I feel like, as much as on paper, he's obviously an unbelievable player, one of the best players of this generation. At 30 years of age, the money he's going to be commanding, and also if Pochettino's really committed to a refresh of the team, I don't know if Neymar's the right character right now for what they need. I think Neymar needs to go into a team that's really settled and has a really good structure. If he was to go to Man City, I've got no doubt he would absolutely be brilliant. But at Chelsea, where they're trying to build something, trying to build a new ethos at the club, I don't know if superstar names like Neymar is what they need right now.
Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest. And I don't even know, maybe a Man City, like you're saying, but apart from that, I can't really think of a club in Europe, maybe a Barcelona, maybe a Real Madrid, someone like that. But apart from those 3 clubs, I can't really see a club in Europe where it's a viable option for him. I kind of feel like he's going to be going out to Saudi or out to the MLS sooner rather than later.
The guy's on nearly $1 million a week.
Yeah.
In Paris. It's absolutely crazy money. I can't see the justification. I mean, look, Chelsea could argue with the talent that he has, it's worth it. But like Chelsea, even with Neymar, aren't going to win the league next season. They're not in the Champions League. So how are you going to get any sort of return for the amount of money he's going to be demanding? It doesn't make sense to me.
Are you disappointed the way Neymar's career has gone? Because like when he was at Barcelona, you know, everyone was saying he's going to be the next best player in the world. And look, I'm not saying like his talent doesn't deserve that, because it does, because he's an unbelievably gifted and talented player. But are you just a bit disappointed with the way it's gone after leaving Barcelona, just sticking at PSG and not moving forward with his career?
Extremely disappointed. He obviously tried to move a couple of years ago, and because of the money involved, it didn't happen. Look, we all know that he moved, well, supposedly anyway, he moved to PSG to get out of Messi's shadow. He wanted to be able, he felt like he could never win the Ballon d'Or while he was always playing in the same team as Messi, and he was completely wrong. I think it's been a massive waste of. I wouldn't say it's been a waste of talent, because I think even when he's been fit at PSG, I think he's been brilliant. But I do feel like he hasn't lived up to what the heights he could have reached if he would have stayed at Barca, or even moved after a couple of years at PSG after getting that bag that he got. I think that he's kind of prioritised his financial, maximising how much money he can get out of the game, rather than maximising how much he could have won. And like, I reckon if he stayed at Barca, I think he could have won a Ballon d'Or even with Messi there. I really believe that. Or he could have moved to a different club than PSG. I think winning Liga every year and failing in the Champions League is a massive disappointment. And the trio of link up with Mbappe and Messi hasn't quite clicked as well. It's been, as much as I believe talent-wise, he's up there with just below Messi and Ronaldo in terms of how good he is compared to this generation of footballer. I think like it's just a shame that he's stayed at PSG all this time, and I feel like himself, he's felt that's why he wanted to leave. I feel like himself, he felt like there's been a lack of competition. It hasn't kind of kept his competitive edge sharp, and like I feel like with Messi and Ronaldo, like they kind of drew each other on, you know, they made each other better, and Neymar's kind of missed out on that, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Let's talk about Arnaut Danjuma now, as his suitors are growing. As Romano says that AC Milan have entered the race for Danjuma. He is on the list for Feyenoord and Everton as well, as they are discussing the player. And Romano understands that he had met with Sean Dyche and Arne Slot, while Milan agents speak to him as well. Big days coming for Danjuma, and decision is expected soon. What do you think the best move for him is? Surely AC Milan, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Although you say that, they got Rafael Leao there, so whether he's going to be, whether he can take him out of that spot, and also Pulisic they've just signed. They've got Salamakers. They've got some good wingers there. The competition is rife. Everton. I feel like Everton would be a good move for Everton. I think they need a player like Danjuma at the helm, but you know, do they want to go through that again, agreeing a deal, and then it gets reneged right at the last minute? I think when that happens, I think obviously you start to rethink a lot of things.
Surely he won't do it again to them.
But I think you've got to think about whether that kind of player really wants to join you when he does something like that. You know what I mean? Who's the other club on the list?
Feyenoord and Arne Slot.
Yeah, I mean, he could go back to Holland, I guess, and maybe he could reinvigorate his career there. I think a part of me thinks he needs to rebuild his confidence after 6 months, you know, really not playing at all at Tottenham. It's really must have affected him, and then it didn't have his last 6 months of Villarreal weren't great either. So he's had a really poor year. If I was him, I think Everton might be the best bet in terms of just rebuilding himself, being a team where he's going to be like the main man.
Yeah, the only problem is that if Everton go down and they just buy him, I know he'll just be on the move again next summer, and I think it's a real big possibility for Everton to go down. Does he really want to go and embroil himself in a relegation battle in the Premier League? If I was him, I think I might fancy my chances and go and fight for my spot at AC Milan as well. You got minutes in the Champions League. Are they in the Champions League?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are, yeah. So minutes in the Champions League, minutes in the Cup, try and fight your way into the league form as well. So I'd back myself if I was him, and I think AC Milan probably is the best move for him right now. Moving on, talking about Kyle Walker. This is an interesting one as well. Sky Germany are claiming that Bayern Munich have agreed personal terms with the right-back Kyle Walker and are negotiating a fee with Manchester City as it stands right now. Do you think it's a good move for him right now, going to Bayern?
Yeah, I think so. 33 years of age, maybe a new challenge. I think Guardiola said last season that Walker isn't perfect for this new way he wants to play. I think Akanji, Ake, Stones, Diaz, I think they've really taken that mantle and really perfected this new way of playing for Guardiola. And I think Kyle Walker still has a lot to give. So I'm not surprised he's interesting. He's of interest of a big club like Bayern Munich. But I just feel like he isn't going to be starting every week for Man City next season, and I feel like it's a good move for him to go to the Bundesliga. And I think they'll like a player like Kyle Walker. I think he's still got that pace. And I think he's still a very good right back. So I think it's a good move for everyone. And now Man City, once you want to leave, they don't usually stand in your way. Like they'll be happy to let you go. They'll be happy to replace you. Like we saw that with Cancelo. Once he wanted to leave, they didn't try and convince him to stay. It's like, you want to leave? That's fine. And I think the same will happen with Carl.
Yeah, I totally agree again. And last up, we're going to talk about Edson Alvarez, the central midfielder from Ajax. David Ornstein says that West Ham have contacted Ajax to express an interest in Edson Alvarez. No bid as of yet, but it is expected to follow. Ajax want 35 to 40 million pounds. And West Ham are targeting the Mexico international to bolster their side in the wake of Declan Rice's impending move to Arsenal. This is an interesting one because he was on the verge of joining Borussia Dortmund not long ago. That move all fell apart. I'm not sure the reasons why, but I feel like this would be a really good move for West Ham.
I agree. I think it would be a solid replacement for Rice for a third of the price, or even, a quarter of the price, really. So I think it would be a really good move, and I think he's shown for Ajax for a few years now consistent performances. I think he used to be a centre-back, if I remember, then he moved into midfield as his career's gone on, and I think that he's really good with the ball at his feet. He's obviously a brilliant player off the ball as well. Playing at Ajax, it's helped him with his obviously technical ability and his awareness. And I think that's he's really taken that up a notch. I think it would be a really good signing for West Ham, and I think he slots right in. I think he's much better than someone like Souček as well in central midfield. So he gives West Ham more technical ability. And we knew West Ham last season tried to kind of play a new way, and it didn't kind of work. Maybe they didn't have the players to do that, but maybe it was adding people like Alvarez. It would go a long way to kind of playing a more possession-based system that they tried last season.
So do you think Declan Rice isn't suited to playing that way?
I wouldn't say he isn't suited. I think he is, but I think Edson Alvarez is maybe a bit more technical than Rice right now, albeit Rice is really improving that, to be fair. And I think that's why he's gone for 100 million, because he's really leveled that ability to a really good level. But I think Edson Alvarez would I guess depends who else they sign, but I think Edson Alvarez would be a really good central midfielder for that.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is the transfer rumours for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding any of the rumours we've spoken about today. We'll be back for some more transfer rumours very, very soon. Thank you very much for joining us today.